all-new look at talk radio with your hosts Chad Forster, Dave Carney, and Michael Mack.
And welcome to Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN. I am Dave Carney, sitting alongside my co-host Chad Forster. Michael Mack is going to be joining us later on in the program about 1:45. Chad, great to see you again Friday afternoon here in Las Vegas. A little overcast today, but happy Good Friday, buddy.
Yeah, Good Friday. Easter's on Sunday. What happens to be 420? I keep seeing these articles about 420 in Easter. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing in Colorado, but I'm sure they're going to have a great time.
I think they're having an Easter egg hunt in the middle of a grass field.
I have to tell you.
Is that what it is? It's that grass
I
everywhere?
think you're absolutely right. I have to tell you, one of the things I love about Easter is, and they start showing up about 2 or 3 weeks before.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with this.
Is those Reese's eggs, those peanut butter eggs. I can't stop eating those things. I know you're a health nut. Big fan of the Reese's eggs.
All right, now, okay, so the Reese's eggs are obviously very, very, very stellar. They're quality candy all the way through.
I got peanut butter.
It's a solid candy. But what about the timeless tradition of Easter? When we talk of candy eggs, we talk of Cadbury eggs. Are you a fan of the cream-filled, over-sugared Cadbury egg? It's a delicious treat.
I used to be. And then I got over it. Too sugary for me. I went to the peanut butter eggs, and I'm looking forward to a great weekend.
Oh, my God.
That's all I know.
Too sugary for you guys. We're going to post this up on our bulletin board as breaking news, never to be heard again here on Live Las Vegas. Too sugary for Chad Forster. Well, we do have a great show here today, Chad. Lots of big news is circling around Southern Nevada. Lots of big news is circling around the world. We're going to start off right now with our live news.
And now, for an all-new look at stories from around the world and around the town, here's the live news.
And we're opening up the phone lines today again for our live news segment. Last week we got so many great phone calls. Want to do it again. 257-5396 is the number. 257-5396, opening up the phone lines to you. Chad, let's start off with the Clive and Bundy standoff, which continues to grow in national prominence. So last week, the Bureau of Land Management, as we talked about here on Live Las Vegas, was in the midst of a cattle roundup that they ended up stopping due to the large militia forces, Clive and Bundy's family, and the willingness of these people to actually make a scene if a scene needed to be made. Now Harry Reid is coming out, our beloved state senator. Harry Reid is coming out and saying some very inflammatory things about Clive and Bundy. What are your thoughts about the latest of this situation?
Well, he called anybody that supported Clive and Bundy a domestic terrorist. He repeated it. He didn't just say it and then just, I shouldn't have said that. He repeated it. So that means if you're on Clive and Bundy's side, which you and I are for the most part, we're vocal about it. We're domestic terrorists. I think this sets up. It just shows you the overreach of the federal government, and it shows you the idiocy of Harry Reid. Because clearly he's on the wrong side of this. Has he not been watching the message boards? Does he know anything about social media? It's like 90 to 10% in the favor of Clive and Bundy at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not just a local sentiment, Chad. This is something that has grown, like I said, throughout the country as people who have, I guess, met some different resistance from the Bureau of Land Management, people that have had to actually butt heads with this particular agency of the federal government, come back with less than glowing reports about how the BLM is handling these cases throughout the country. And again, rearing its ugly head here in Southern Nevada. Now, the number to reach us in studio, 257-5396, 257-5396. Love to get more opinions on this. One of the interesting things about the Clive and Bundy situation, Chad, and we did touch on this a little bit last week, and FoxNews.com is bringing this up on the front page of their national site as well. The man is actually willing to pay taxes. Okay, so we set this stage up very critically against Clive and Bundy, saying, he's absolutely trying to evade us fiscally. The point of at least what I'm really gauging into the Bundy Ranch situation here is he's very willing to pay taxes to the county in which he resides, Clark County. Very willing to pay them to the state, not willing to pay them to the federal government. Now, he might not be on the wrong side of the actual letter of the law, but Chad, do you think he's on the right side of history here?
That's a very good question. I don't know if he's on the right side of history, but in my mind, at some point, when you're not being represented, you have to take a stand. And that's basically what's going on here. We can get into the minutia of, yes, the Nevada Constitution had written that it given the land to the United. I get all that stuff. But we're talking about a family that's been there over 100 years and has been using this land. And the thing that bothers me is, not that it's the letter of the law and who's following it and who's right or wrong or on that side of it is that there was a lie to begin with. This has nothing to do with desert tortoises. We talked about it last week. I gave a couple of instances of some of the alternative media that have brought up different things about like leases and things like that. Now we have this solar plant thing that Rory Reid and Harry Reid are involved in. So clearly it's not about desert tortoises, and that's what bothers me more than anything.
Well, sure, it's the farce being put on about why now, nearly 20 years after Cliven Bundy made his first initial stand against the Bureau of Land Management, why now it's so important. And you bring up an interesting point. The Harry Reid, Rory Reid, Chinese developer ENN, who have come together on a solar plan for southern Nevada.
It's like a $5 billion deal.
$5 billion deal.
And you know the Reids are making a little off of that, I would imagine. I think just a tad bit, yes.
Just a smidge, maybe? Well, this deal is something that, and I said earlier, our state senator, our U.S. Senator, Harry Reid, brokered overseas in China sometime last year. So the movement to really have this solar plant come to fruition has been gaining steam here over the last year and a half. So it does seem like there is a bit of smoke along with this fire. Now, even more interesting, you talked about the alternative news sites that first reported this connection with Harry Reid, ENN. That, again, is the Chinese solar conglomerate. But the Las Vegas Sun, a very dwindling sort of newspaper here in Las Vegas.
You think so?
Now only found online. But the Las Vegas Sun, really tried to, in my opinion, do a little overkill on the defense of Harry Reid, put out a 2.5-page article, point by point, trying to disprove it. And really, when you finished reading that article on the Las Vegas Sun, you came away with the thought that, you know what, Harry Reid probably had this article written. And it was just so one-sided, so directly counterintuitive to all the other facts that we have been seeing. It really just, you start to look at Big Brother in a whole new light right now.
Well, and then you're the one that mentioned to me that you were on that site. You read that article, and at the bottom, all the people that posted comments.
All the comments.
Almost every single one of them was, what the hell are you doing? You're obviously in bed with Reid. This guy's a joke. This guy's an idiot. I mean, and Reid's not the only guy. Tom Collins made some statements last week about, before this was all over with, that if you go support him, be prepared to go home in a body bag or something along those lines. But again, this shows you the difference between the average person, the average citizen is just trying to make a living, and these plutocrats, because that's what they are. When you have the 99% compared to the 1% or 0.5%, that's what it is. It's a plutocracy. The richest people are the ones that actually rule.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're involved in.
Well, that's what we're starting to see manifest itself much more clearly in front of our eyes because of, as you mentioned, the social media, the 24-hour news channels, and basically folks like us on talk radio really churning this thing around. Now, again, the number to reach us here in studio today, 257-5396, 257-5396. Would love to get any other opinions out there on this Cliven Bundy ranch situation that we haven't already gotten already. Some folks are, again, very much opposed to the whole idea of Mr. Bundy out there on his homesteaded property, which has been homesteaded to his family since 1870. They're very opposed to this man grazing this cattle in the middle of vast wasteland of nothing.
And again, like you said, 20 years after the fact that he took a stand, why is it now all of a sudden that they want this land and they're willing to shoot cattle, by the way? I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did.
One of his prize bulls, Cliven Bundy's prize bulls, there's a picture of it with 5 bullets in it.
Well, it seemed, Chad.
And they tore up his land, and they tore up his corrals, and they tore up his water reservoirs. I mean, it's just so disrespectful, and it just shows you, again, I think we have this idea when you're in these government agencies, it's us against them type thing. Hey, jackass, you work for us,
by the way. That's right.
And, a caller last week brought up something very relevant, I thought. Is the BLM even a legitimate agency? That's a good question.
It's a great question, but again, because we're talking about the federal government, we're told not to ask too hard about these things, because then you might start to ask, is the Internal Revenue Service a legitimate agency?
And they're not.
And after I just paid a couple of $1,000 in taxes, I will tell you they are very much a legitimate agency, because they will come and get you. Now, again, talking about the BLM is one thing. Harry Reid's comments that we mentioned at the very start of the show here, where he equated Cliven Bundy and the supporters supporters of Cliven Bundy to domestic terrorists. You know, in my opinion, Harry Reid is verging on some pretty dangerous ground to walk on here, because when you start initiating the word terrorist in this day and age, in this country, you are starting down the path of violence. And there's no other way to really, get around that. If you start calling somebody a terrorist, you're starting to put into play violent actions against that person. How long do you think it'll be before the FBI, DEA, and other task force are out here in Nevada, not just the BLM?
Yeah, it'll be very shortly. If this escalates at all, it'll happen.
Absolutely.
And the BLM's doing this all across the country, as you mentioned. Texas, New Mexico here. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah, no, it's a big land grab going on right now. All right, we're going to step aside, take our first break here on Live Las Vegas, and take a look at traffic. When we come back, more on this Bundy Ranch situation and also the horrible ferry sinking in South Korea. Stay tuned with us on Live Las Vegas.
And at 1:15 in the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, a new incident on the Beltway. This report brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Farmers Insurance believes the more you know, the better you can plan for what's ahead. To find your local agent and get smarter about your insurance, call 888-96-FARMERS. That's 888-96-FARMERS. West 215, the Durango off-ramp affected there. North 15, that's south of the 95 in the travel lane. 15 north of Sahara. And northbound 95, that's the Ann Road off-ramp affected on the right shoulder. From the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
You hear members of the Brain Trust every day, the strategists who talk about their areas of expertise on Boomer's Brain Trust.
But now you have the opportunity to join the Brain Trust, share your insights, and build your brand on a national network of radio and TV stations and online at moneybizlife.com.
We're looking for the best guests in their fields to join the Brain Trust as regular guest contributors.
CPAs, attorneys, real estate professionals.
You'll get multi-platform, multimedia, multi-market exposure for your business or practice on the Money Biz Life Network.
Engage your audience on radio, on TV, and online.
When you join the Brain Trust, you're reaching out to a national audience through long-form interview segments that provide visibility and credibility for your brand and your message.
Plus, your interview segments can become your video features for your website, social media content, and email blasts.
Affordable national broadcast exposure and video content you control.
For information on becoming a member of the Brain Trust, call 858-883-2231.
858-883-2231 or go to boomersbraintrust.com and click on the contact button.
You hear a lot of talk about gold these days. What, with the stock market and more upheaval than tumbleweeds in a tornado? The world-famous Max Pawn is your gold spot in Las Vegas. Don't just send your gold into some random TV guy for pennies on the dollars. Go where you can see what your gold is really worth and get guaranteed market rate for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Come visit the world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas at the northeast corner of Sahara and Jones or online at maxpawnlv.com.
And now, back to Las Vegas Live with your hosts Dave Carney and Chad Forster.
And welcome back to Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN, streaming worldwide at KDWN.com. I'm Dave Carney, sitting alongside my co-host Chad Forster. Welcome back to the program here, guys. Happy Good Friday to you if you're celebrating Good Friday today. And you know what? Just Good Friday all the way around. I think anytime, Chad, you've got a Friday and you're a regular work week type of person, Friday is a good Friday. Doesn't matter what day associates with it later on in the weekend.
Yeah, Fridays are always great. And, I know it's a little overcast out there right now, but it's
great.
still a beautiful day
Awesome.
out. The weather the last couple of weeks has just been tremendous.
It really has.
And this is why it pays to live in Las Vegas.
Well, as opposed to some parts of the rest of the country, I mean, you're talking about the BLM. I'd love for them to be up in Minnesota right now or Wisconsin trying to round up.
Isn't Detroit getting some snow or something?
The entire Midwest is going through one of these, semi-arctic, freezes that it does in late spring to early summer, and yet we're treated with some of the finest weather in the world. Now, I will put out a little caveat. When it starts to be 90 degrees in mid-April, we can see some tougher stretches through June, July,
I was going
and
to
August.
say, wait till July. I think it's going to be a hot summer. Wait till July when it's 115.
Man, I can wait, actually, yes. Well, we'll go ahead and pause that. But that's, another great thing about Southern Nevada. It's 115 here. You drive 40 minutes, north up to 95. You're in Mount Charleston. It's 85 degrees, right? So, how bad
can
could
get
it really
away from
be?
it? Sure, you can. Absolutely.
You can. If you like the water, you can go out to Lake Mead or go to Laughlin if you like really bad buffets or something.
The buffets out there aren't that bad.
They're terrible.
I actually like Laughlin.
I love
and Bullhead City. It's a great
Listen,
area.
I love Laughlin. It's just the buffets that I had.
Well, you don't like buffets in general.
Well,
you're
no.
You're on this health kick.
Well, some of the chickens started getting up and walking away from me while I was there.
No, see, the thing is, you just have to get there at the right time, okay? Because the thing is, you have a shelf life of a buffet. When they first put the food out, you got about 45 minutes. After that, it just goes downhill.
See, do you ever feel like, I mean, since we were talking about cattle earlier in Clive and Bundy, do you ever feel like cattle grazing when you go to a buffet and you've just got this big trough of food and, there's this the snot spray thing so that, people can't.
Sneeze guard.
Sneeze guard they call it. It's disgusting.
That really does a lot of good, by the way.
It's so bad.
It can't get underneath that.
Yeah, right.
Only the big stuff doesn't get on the food,
That's
but
right.
all the other stuff gets on the food.
But,
now you're ruining buffets for me. Come on. I love a good buffet.
Listen, if I've done anything for you in your life, ruining buffets might be the best thing that I've done for you.
I might lose 25 pounds.
Well, and then just running around from the food at the Laughlin thing, if they chase you far enough, you lose another 20 pounds there.
That's a good point.
Listen, when you buy from Chernobyl Farms and you're trying to save, 15 cents a pound on that good buffet food, you got to take what comes with it. Coming back here to the show, though, guys, we've got some big stuff later on in the program. Chad, at 1:30 today, we're going to get online with two folks from the Downtown Project, the head of the new Market, Fremont Street's first grocery store in probably about 50 years. We're going to be talking to Ellen Chantos and Patrick McAnany, and they're going to tell us all about the new Market, which is opening up this summer and really is going to reshape downtown yet again. Now, you and I have spent some time down there recently at the Container Park, going to some of the other venues, the El Cortez, having lunch at La Comida, really enjoying the whole feel of new downtown Las Vegas. But, Chad, when you look at a grocery store, a Market being put into place, it starts to make it a real community now. Now you can go shopping.
Yeah, my understanding, and we'll get more on at 1:30 when we talk to Ellen and Patrick, is that it's not like a major chain type of.
No.
This is like a neighborhood market. It's going to have that feel, and I think it's a perfect fit for what's going on down there. And to be honest with you, when this whole thing started, I didn't give much hope that it was ever going to be able to do anything, because for the longest time that's just been kind of a crappy place to hang out. And now it is the place to hang out with First Fridays and Container Park down there and all the great concerts and all the stuff that they do down there. And again, and I said this last week, they clean it up. It smells good down there now.
Listen, and I don't know if it's just the perfume from all the hot chicks walking around, because that's another thing. But no, downtown Las Vegas is starting to, at least, in some semblance of energy and vibe, resemble what we might have thought was lost in Las Vegas. The smaller boutique hotel, the new Gold Spike, which used to be a really terrible hotel casino, now a really awesome place for locals of downtown to go hang out. So a lot of cool things are coming in, and we will talk to Ellen and Patrick about the new Market. Going to be great stuff later on in the program. We're also going to be talking to Michael Mack. He has got some really big news to share with the listeners here of Live Las Vegas. Something brand new, Mac style, is going to be opening up. And I tell you what, I already know about this, so I won't spoil it, but I will tease you. It's based upon a very famous rock and roll song. I think everybody is going to dig the new project that Michael has gotten himself into. Now, moving on back here to the news here, Chad. We talked about, obviously, the Clive and Bundy Ranch situation at the beginning of the program, and we're going to actually try to get Mr. Bundy on with us next week. We talked to one of the representatives over at the Bundy Ranch today. He's doing a press conference, so he might be coming on with us next week. But moving on to another story, which is just kind of making waves, no pun intended, around the world. The South Korea ferry, which tragically tipped over, trapping hundreds of high school students, teachers, administrators. Only 2930 confirmed deaths right now, but the toll is expected to be rising. And as we're sitting here, breaking news coming in that the ship's captain has actually been arrested under 5 counts of negligence and some maritime law. You look at a situation like this, Chad, I mean, you've got to be devastated. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, very, very tragic. And as you said, 5 charges pending on the captain of the ship. He was just arrested, including criminal negligence, as you said, and the remaining of those charges is maritime law charges. It's just sad. It's just a sad situation. Obviously, it doesn't look like anybody did this intentionally. Why would you do it intentionally? It's just they just made some wrong moves. And then you told me something that I hadn't read yet, that the vice principal of some of these children actually committed suicide.
Yeah, they found him.
This thing's just getting worse.
Well, they found him hung this morning. He hung himself from a tree on one of the islands, and I, forgive me for some ignorance about the numerous islands in the South Korean area, but one of the islands where these kids were supposed to go on field trip, the vice principal of the school hung himself this morning. So really, really tragic stuff. I mean, our hearts go out to, all of the families. It's so hard to comprehend. And, the reason I really wanted to talk about this is because even with all the technology that we've got today, we have witnessed now 2 very recent situations which all of our massive technology, all the GPS, all the honing, all the global stuff that we've got have not been able to save, about 500 people now. And it really does give you a pause and let you know how far out of control of Mother Nature we really are.
And you're obviously referring to the Malaysian airline that's still missing, Flight 370. We still don't know where that's at.
Of course, CNN has 24-hour coverage on it, though.
Well, of course.
If you want to know about that, just go to CNN.
Absolutely. They do that just around the clock. And, it's one of those things where you would think with all the stuff they brag about, all the stuff they surveil us with, the government I'm speaking of, you would be able to find at least this airline. And then, obviously, with the ship turned over, it looks like what I'm reading now is 278 missing and feared dead.
That's right.
Obviously, the rescue effort is still on, from my understanding, but they're having a hard time approaching that as well. And this goes into the whole technology thing, is how to get in there.
That's it. Yeah, it's a really sticky situation, and again, sometimes I take a moment and reflect that no matter how far we advance, no matter how small the digital screen I'm reading off of gets, no matter how quick my cell phone becomes, no matter how powerful my car engine is with, Hyper-V technology, it still cannot take us away from some very real human tragedies. So again, the families in South Korea, our hearts are with you. Probably not listening to us over here on KDWN, but hopefully you get the message transmitted to you. We're actually going to take a phone call here, Chad. We've got Larry on the line with us. Larry, thanks for joining Live Las Vegas. Looks like you've got a comment on the Cliven Bundy ranch situation. What's your thoughts, Larry?
Well, I've been listening to the whole thing, and I think people are forgetting where this all started. And it was Clark County who decided to close those allotments to grazing. It was Clark County that made that decision so that they could develop more of the Vegas Valley. And all those ranchers were given $375,000 plus or minus to buy out their permits, and Clark County bought those permits.
So what year did that happen, Larry?
While you guys are blaming the BLM, blaming the feds, it was the county's decision. And the same county that Bundy supposedly recognizes.
Well, that's a good point, but at the same time, the BLM is the one trying to enforce the law up there with snipers and 200 men. So, you have to...
the law in response to the county's wishes.
Well, listen, Larry, it's a pretty good point. Now, when did that, do you know by chance when the county put in this new in action here? Do you know about what time? Did that coincide with the 1993, decision of Mr. Bundy to basically stop paying taxes?
Clark County's multi-species habitat conservation plan.
Wow.
That's the document that directed all this.
So in your mind, Cliven Bundy is in the wrong, not in the right?
That is correct.
You think that he should fork over the $1 million and that the
I
tactics
don't know about forking over the $1 million. He probably made close to $10 million off the cattle production over the past 20 years. So I don't know. I wouldn't care if the guy just walked away and paid nothing, but this isn't the right battle to be pushing the Constitution and talking about injustice and federal government overreach.
Well, but have you seen these? BLM, this isn't an isolated incident. We're talking about similar things going on in New Mexico, similar case going on in Texas. You don't think that's related anyway?
Well, if you want to go down that road, take a look at the Pacific Northwest and the spotted owl and what it did to the logging industry.
Yeah, my uncle was affected by that. As a matter of fact, he lived in Oregon.
And now it turns out that the spotted owl is hybridizing with the barred owl, and it's going to be gone anyway. So, I agree with Cliven on a lot of things, but as far as this being unconstitutional and being in government overreach and blah, 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 hell no. Well, the counties is got the majority of the responsibility here.
Larry, let me ask you, because it sounds like you've got a really good handle on this situation too, and we really appreciate your phone call too. Great to hear from you on this. Would you have a recommended solution that would possibly ease tensions and maybe work for both Mr. Bundy and Clark County? Is there anything that you would suggest that might be able to alleviate those?
Well, let's take a look and see if Cliven got his buyout money, and if he didn't, give him the buyout money, and hopefully he can make a go of it some other way. I don't know. To me, it's a bad business decision is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I bet if they gave him that buyout money, they'd say, you know what, we're just going to apply this to the tax that you owe here. So if that was $375 back in 1993, who knows? Maybe they'll give him some rate of inflation.
That money should be coming from the county, so it shouldn't cross the Fed's hands. But.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, Larry, listen, we're going to have to go and take another look at traffic, but really appreciate your phone call here, man. Great to hear from you, and great information. Thanks so much for listening and for the phone call.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to step aside, take our second look at traffic here on Live Las Vegas. When we come back, we're going to be getting online with Ellen and Patrick from the Downtown Projects Market, as well as Michael Mack from Max Pawn coming up just a little bit. Stay tuned to Live Las Vegas.
Daybreak Vegas, Alan Stock, the KDWN Legal Hour, Boomer's Brain Trust, Phil's Gang, The Source, Live Las Vegas, Pawn Talk Live, Jerry Doyle, Ask the Experts, SportsX Radio, News Talk 720 KDWN, where locals come to talk.
That's ready to handle law enforcement in an emergency. It's totally free and totally private for your family. Lots of fun and activities for kids. The event is hosted by Ed Bozart Chevrolet, 5501 Drexel Road in Las Vegas. It's Friday, April the 25th from 1 to 8 and Saturday, April the 26th from 10 to 4.
1 in 88 children are diagnosed with autism. Join Families for Effective Autism Treatment at their 2014 A-Games on Sunday, June 1st at Sports Social in Las Vegas. 1 day and 7 events. For more information, go online to featsonv.org.
Jerry Doyle, your 6'3" ATM of information. Weekdays 3 to 6 on News Talk 720 KDWN, where locals come to talk. KDWN Las Vegas, where locals come to talk.
AP Update. I'm Carlotta Bradley. An earthquake has struck in Mexico near the Pacific resort of Acapulco. U.S. Geological Survey geophysicist Paul Caruso.
The epicenter also approximately 165 miles southwest of Mexico City.
The magnitude 7.2 earthquake shook central and southern Mexico, sending panicked people into the streets where broken windows and debris fell, but there were no early reports of major damage or casualties. AP correspondent Mark Stevenson has more from Mexico City.
The most that we've had throughout southern Mexico are some cracks in buildings, apparently a few rock slides on a highway, bits of facade falling off buildings. It didn't go all that badly for us, considering the power of that quake.
Mexico City's mayor says there have been some small power outages from fallen transformers. AP Update. I'm Carlotta Bradley.
The news brought to you by Arby's. It's back. Arby's Mix and Match. 2 sandwiches for just $5.50. Choose from the Beef and Cheddar Classic, the Roast Beef Classic, or the Fish Sandwich. 2 for $5.50. Limited time offer at participating Arby's.
It's 1:32 at the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center. Several incidents on area freeways. 215 westbound, that's the Durango off-ramp there on the right side. North 15 south of Sahara in the Resort Corridor. North 95, that's the Ann Road off-ramp. Torrey Pines at Tropicana, that one's new. Entries Las Vegas Boulevard at Windmill and Decatur at Meadows. For the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Luxury shops in Las Vegas aren't new. What is new, however, is luxury meeting value. At the world-famous Max Pawn, we specialize in marrying the two. With some of the finest selections of watches, designer handbags, sunglasses, and more, the luxury never stops. Every day, new items are added in-store and online. From Gucci and Chanel to Hermes and Louis Vuitton, Max Pawn delivers all the top luxury brands at a fraction of the price. Visit us online at MaxPawnLV.com or browse our showroom in Las Vegas. The world-famous Max Pawn, where luxury meets value.
It's a new year, so you deserve a new you. Wouldn't it be nice to finally quit worrying about crooked or missing teeth? If you've been putting it off for a while because of the cost, then you should see Dr. Maracondia and his staff at AQ Denture in Henderson, because AQ stands for affordable quality. Dental implants, dentures, or dental services are more affordable than you think. Call AQ today at 702-565-6000. That's 702-565-6000 and smile again. Call AQ 702-565-6000.
If you're a conservative American over 50, then please listen to this important message. Hi friends, Fran Tarkenton here. Let me tell you about an organization fighting to protect our country from the destructive liberal policies threatening our great nation. AMAC, The Association of Mature American Citizens, with over 1 million members and growing, serves as a strong conservative alternative to the left-leaning AARP. Over the years, I'd become increasingly distrustful of the AARP and its liberal agenda, but their support for Obamacare was the last straw. As a football player, I understood that in order to win, you have to keep fighting. Well, AMAC not only shares my conservative beliefs, but they also share that same willingness to fight to protect those beliefs for generations to come. You deserve better than AARP. AMAC is better. Better for you. Better for America.
Join AMAC today to receive exclusive benefits and discounts. Call 888-950-AMAC or go to teamamac.us to become a member. Call 888-950-AMAC or go to teamamac.us.
And now back to Las Vegas Live with your hosts Dave Carney and Chad Forster.
And welcome back to Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN, streaming worldwide at KDWN.com. I'm Dave Carney, joined by my co-host, Chad Forster. And coming back here to the program, Chad, really good stuff on the other side of this break. Great call from Larry out there, giving us a contrarian point of view.
Yeah, it was nice.
To
right
our
in my
climate.
face.
Absolutely.
Right in my face. That was awesome.
You know what? He had some great information. So does this change the way I feel about the Clive and Bundy situation? No, it does not.
It doesn't change my mind either because, it's the way they went about it.
Yes.
You go in there with 200 federal agents and snipers. I mean, come on.
Listen, you're trying to make a point, and I think that really the tensions that started escalating from the beginning we're seeing Clive and Bundy's sister get pushed over, his son get tased, and once you start posting videos of this kind of thing, nobody really has a strong opinion in the positive for the federal government. I think our Congress is at minus 6%. Obama is getting, the go back to Chicago card, and even Mitt Romney is no more Mitt. I mean, it's nobody likes the federal government. So when you see the federal government in action and what it really does against its own people, regardless of the situation, taxable income involved, it doesn't make anybody very happy.
Well, no, it doesn't, and you can try to justify them being right, and that's what they're trying to do, and it just isn't working. And if they're trying to change their image, it isn't helping by pushing down little old ladies and tasing people.
No, but like we said as well at the beginning of the show, we spoke to a representative of the Bundy Ranch this afternoon before we went on air, and we are looking forward to having Mr. Bundy on with us next week, so stay tuned for that. We'll be tweeting about that, and you can follow those tweets at Live in Las Vegas 720, at Dapper Dave C, and of course at Chad Tweet Stuff. Now, of course, Chad has to start tweeting stuff, but when you follow him at Chad Tweet Stuff, eventually stuff is going to come up and you will tweet it.
I didn't know what the rules were on Twitter.
Yes.
Apparently you actually have to do things. You just can't have an account.
No, you can't.
Okay.
You can't just have an account. You have to do things. And speaking of somebody that knows that there is a lot to do and probably going to be using Twitter quite a bit, as well as Facebook, social media, and the rest of the media outlets, is Ellen and Patrick from the Downtown Project's new edition, The Market. Ellen, thanks so much for joining us today here on Live Las Vegas. Great to have you on our program. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having us.
Well, it is our pleasure. Do we have Patrick on the line with you as well?
Yes, we do. How are you?
Well, we are fantastic. Patrick, you're on with myself and Chad Forrester. First of all, guys, I want to start off with the obvious question. What is The Market and how soon will it be open?
Well, the how soon will it be open question I'll answer first, and that's summer.
Gotcha. Summer of 2014, right? So summer of this year.
Right. We don't have the specifics on that yet, but we hope it to be hot weather when we open those doors. And what is it? It is the answer to everybody downtown not having to leave downtown to go grocery shopping. It's going to be produce, grocery, beer and wine, prepared foods, bakery, pastry, gelato, beverages. Did I miss anything, Patrick?
Oh, my gosh.
Coffee.
So you mean I don't have to go to Whole Foods at in Summerlin, 37 miles away when I want to get a gelato and some good food?
You just walk right over to the market, and we'll give you a scoop and then some.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Well, I live really close to the core of downtown, and have really enjoyed the resurgence when I moved back to the heart of the city about 5 years ago, and obviously the Downtown Project, which is at the center of this revitalization, is really bringing us all of the great things we see: the Container Park, the market, as well as the new hotel casinos. But the market, Ellen and Patrick, seems to be the most vital and crucial part of this redevelopment, really making downtown an actual livable place again.
Yeah, and to give you some idea on the way we've been approaching things, the Downtown Project is we very purposefully don't master plan our development. We don't sit and say we've bought up all this property and we're going to, put in everything at once. We say, let's do one thing at a time, see what the reception is, see what the experience is, and then see what people ask for next. So, building out the container park, we knew people needed a place to hang out downtown. That was kind of the first thing. There were some bars, there were some restaurants, but just a place where people could go and relax on a Saturday, and just the amount of foot traffic and energy that it's brought to the place we knew was kind of the next step. And now we're really trying to fill in that next level of amenities, so making sure that people can actually live and get all their basic needs. And, a grocery store is really kind of the best symbol of all of that, for sure. It's the most core amenity that you can provide in an urban core.
Now, talk a little bit about the store itself. It's not one of these major chains. This is more of like a small town kind of feel market, correct?
We want it to feel like a gritty little urban market.
Could you give us a comparison to something maybe we would recognize of what it's going to be like? Is it like is it like a Whole Foods? Is it more like a Trader Joe's? Or
yeah.
What kind? Can you give us a comparison?
Sure. I came from Whole Foods in my previous life, so there is a touch of that to it, but we want it to be, it's very shrunken down. It's 5,000 square feet on retail sales floor. So, it's a very small version of that, but it is Whole Foods meets Trader Joe's meets Sprouts, and then it's our twist on that, which will be very unique.
And I think, when people think of urban market, in Las Vegas is a bit hard to conceptualize just because there really is no urban market. Everyone kind of thinks of a larger scale supermarket or a grocery store, but a lot of our inspiration we've taken from cities like Austin, Vancouver, Washington, D.C., and New York, kind of some smaller scale one-off urban markets that do provide all your basic grocery shopping, but they're kind of more built into a compact, tight urban setting. So a lot of the sources of inspiration we've had are actually kind of single urban markets that people in some of those more dense cities would be familiar with. And that's the sort of vibe we're trying to create downtown, which is something that Las Vegas has never seen before. So it's hard to draw a comparison with what already exists in the city.
Where's the proximity exactly downtown and where this market's going to be?
It's going to be at 611 Fremont Street. So it's on Fremont between 6th and 7th Streets, literally across the street from the container park.
Yeah, that's
and the El Cortez.
Talk about a fantastic area for the folks that, not only come down to downtown Las Vegas to play, but also the throngs of Las Vegans that are now coming to downtown Las Vegas to live. I mean, the residents at the Ogden, and I know that that's a largely incapacitated by Zappos folks, but they're going to be really happy about this, I would imagine.
Right, and that's exactly what the market is for. It's obviously we want it to be a destination where people are coming from all over to explore and experience downtown, but at the core, what we're trying to do is build out the basic amenities that you need to live in the area. What we're trying to do downtown is create an environment that's fully live, work, play. It's kind of the way we say it. So as we know grocery, the core of who we're building this for are the local residents, and we want to make sure that this keeps up the momentum that more and more people want to actually be moving into the downtown area.
But I kind of get the feeling that the market isn't necessarily the capstone to the downtown project. This thing is just going to continue to grow. What other things, if you guys can share, are you guys looking at outside of just the market and the container park? All these things are wonderful. And you mentioned a comparison city like Austin. You're kind of getting that feel because one thing that everybody always complains about Las Vegas is there's no real culture here. And it's starting to develop downtown. So are there other things that maybe you guys could talk about that can tease us with a little bit?
Sure. We have lots of plans for the next few months outside of the market. One project that we have in the works right now is the old Bunkhouse Saloon that we're doing a full renovation to right now, and that should be opening later this year. And that's going to be kind of we're going to keep that old bunkhouse feel, but it's going to be kind of remodeled and re-energized. We're going to have a lot of great music performers come in there and make it really kind of a great nightlife spot. And then beyond that, we have the old Ferguson Motel, which we're going to be breaking ground on soon, and that's going to be another project similar to the container park, and it's going to be basically an outdoor retail environment that has food and beverage, that has retail, that has kind of outdoor seating. And the idea is we're going to keep developing properties throughout that area that a lot of them will be unique, but we're going to kind of keep creating that sort of feel that you're getting in the container park or at the Gold Spike. That's part of our brand that we're continuing to grow in the area.
I'll tell you what, Patrick and Ellen, from a guy that's lived in Las Vegas pretty much my entire life since 1984, watching the revitalization of the literal heart and soul of our city has been a beautiful thing to see. And you drive around some of the streets downtown now, and not just where the container park is, but the areas that are surrounding it, the residential areas that had largely been converted to businesses are starting to come back a little bit. You're seeing folks, re-inhabit these places as a place to live. And, of course, the market is going to be such a central figure in that piece of the puzzle as it continues to grow. And I've got to tell you what, we're excited for everything that's going on, but especially this market. If I don't have to, again, go to Summerlin to get my Whole Foods, I'm going to be so happy. I can't even tell you. It's going to cut down on my gas bill because, I think we're trying to limit our carbon footprint here, right? So if I can get myself from having to drive so far to get the sustainable foods, I'll feel even better about it.
We promise that once you come to this market, you'll be wanting to come back for more over and over and over again.
Well, I'm probably going to have to come every week, right? I mean, it's my grocery shopping.
I'm craving some of that gelato you were talking about. I want some of that gelato and coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure having you on. We will hope to have you on again here very shortly as we get closer to summer 2014 and we get an official date on the open of the market. But again, for more information, go to the Downtown Project online at downtownproject.com. We're going to step aside, take our final look at traffic here on Live Las Vegas. When we come back, Michael Mack joining us to talk about a brand new venture. Stay tuned with us.
And at 144 in the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center still had that trouble on the Beltway. 215 westbound, the Durango off-ramp affected there. North 15, that's south of Sahara. 95 northbound, the Ann Road off-ramp. And Las Vegas Boulevard, northbound between Harmon and Flamingo, you're seeing some slowing. Also, you're stacked up southbound Las Vegas Boulevard between Harmon and Tropicana, and that is due to some construction work being done by the hotel casinos in that area. For the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
If you're looking to lower your mortgage payments and been turned down elsewhere, you need to listen to Mortgage Makeovers with Ken Michaels this Sunday from 6 to 7 a.m. Mortgage Makeovers with Ken Michaels here on News Talk 720 KDWN.
So we had this break-in on our block, and that triggered my mama bear instincts. I work full-time, so I'm not home when my kids get home. Sometimes I'm not even home before dinner. So it got me thinking, what if that was my home? I had to take action to protect my family. We started researching home security systems, and the clear winner was Vivint. Best price, best technology, super easy to use. It's a fully monitored security system, but I love their video technology most. I can actually see what's going on in my home right from my smartphone, tablet, or computer. I check it before my kids get home, then again around 4 so I know they got home safely. I can even lock the doors remotely if they forget. Vivint keeps me in control of my family's safety, even when I can't be home.
Take control of your family's safety with Vivint. Order now for up to $1,300 in security equipment at no charge. Just pay as little as $99 for activation. Plus, call now and installation is free. Call 800-569-0364. 800-569-0364. 800-569-0364.
Attention all Nevada homeowners. Are you buried in debt? Are you upside down in your home? Has your dream of home ownership turned into a nightmare rerun? Turn up the sound on your radio. It's me, Ido Gavish, and I got your back. Call me today at 255-1145. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous. Just call me. We got you covered. Short sell your house today and we can have you shopping for a new house tomorrow. Capiche? That's Gavish.
Hi, everybody. Ken Thompson, SportsX Radio, now on the Yahoo Sports Radio Network, but still my home in Vegas, AM 720 KDWN, the Flamethrower. My show goes 7 to 9 p.m. Tune in or stop down Legacy Stadium inside the Palazzo and say hello.
Hi, this is Michael Mack, owner of a world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas. You ever wondered what those valuables are worth? Had a pawn question but didn't know who to ask? I have the solution for you. Join me and Dave Carney every Friday from 2 to 3 for Pawn Talk Live here on News Radio 720 KDWN.
And now, back to Las Vegas Live with your hosts Dave Carney and Chad Forster.
And welcome back to Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN, streaming worldwide, KDWN.com. And, of course, you can always check up with us online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, live in Las Vegas Radio.com. That's live in Las Vegas Radio.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at DapperDaveC. Follow my good friend Chad when he decides to start tweeting, which will be soon.
You can still follow.
You can still follow him. That's right. At Chad Tweets Stuff, which is probably the coolest Twitter handle I've heard of in a long time.
If there's one of those guys out there, one of those people out there that doesn't necessarily like a lot of stuff coming at him, I'm the guy to follow because I'm not saying anything.
No, but when you say things, when you do say stuff, you know, it's got a lot of impact, right? He's a man of few words, but when he's got those few words ready, they really hold, they hold a lot of force. Speaking of force, we've got a whole bunch of good stuff coming up this weekend in sports. Let's take a look at our sports carnival.
Covering the sports stories that come from everywhere. It's time for the Sports Carnival with Chad and Dave.
All right, talking major power. The NBA playoffs are set to begin tomorrow night, Chad, and we have got a host of intriguing matchups across the Eastern and Western conferences. Let me have one matchup you're really looking forward to from both the East and the Western Conference.
Well, I like Atlanta and Indiana mainly because I'm an Indiana fan. I really like the Pacers. I'm a Larry Bird fan. Obviously, he runs the team, so that helps. And then I like this. I'm interested in, just because I think ultimately San Antonio is going to win the whole thing. But I think they have an interesting first matchup against Dallas.
A very interesting matchup against Dallas. Now, Dallas has been playing some really good basketball. The Western Conference a lot tougher. But San Antonio, I'm telling you what, the way that they have been playing, I think they're going to smoke Dallas 4-0. I don't even think Dallas is going to.
I don't think so. I think this is going 6 or 7.
Really?
I really do. I think they're going to have a little bit of a problem getting out of the first round. And I think once they get into second and third and they get into the finals, I think they'll end up winning. But I just really think this is an interesting matchup. And I also like the Portland and Houston matchup.
Okay,
well.
I'll tell you the ones that I'm looking forward to the most. Toronto and Brooklyn, okay? Toronto's a favorite. Well, they're not a favorite, excuse me. They're the higher seed. Brooklyn is getting a lot of the money here in Las Vegas. But if you look at the Toronto Raptors since the Rudy Gay trade, 41-22, best record in the Eastern Conference since they let go of arguably their best players. So I think Toronto is going to make some noise in this playoffs. DeMar DeRozan is a star that bears watching. If you're not watching a lot of Toronto Raptors basketball, probably like the rest of us because we're in the States, go online, see some videos of this kid. He's fantastic. Now, in the Western Conference, Chad, I think this is going to be the most exciting series, and Michael, I'm sure you'd probably agree with me on this one. The Los Angeles Clippers and Golden State Warriors. We're going to see threes, dunks, block shots.
Not a lot of defense in this.
Well, who
no
cares
defense
about
at all.
No,
if you like offense,
it's an all-star game.
This is a great. I agree with you. I actually kind of missed that one. You're absolutely right on that. That is going to be a dynamite series.
That's going to be fantastic. And you know what? When I said to Michael, obviously Michael went to USC for college, so I would hope that he's at least pulling for somebody from Southern California. Now,
I like Mark Jackson, though.
Do you like Mark Jackson, though? All right. Well,
who's
listen,
on the hot seat, believe it or not?
Which I don't.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't
Last
see
year,
that.
he was one of the hottest coaches.
I know. Now he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, I don't see that. And he still made a playoff team in an incredibly tough Western Conference. But NBA playoff action starts tomorrow night. It's going to be all over TNT as well as ESPN. So check your local listings. Now, some more sports going on here locally this weekend, guys. The Las Vegas 51s back in action starting tomorrow night, Saturday night, with T-shirt night out at Cashman Field. First 2,500 fans in attendance get free 51s T-shirts. Now, you know that is going to bring out the crowd because at this time of year when the weather is still nice and you're doing great promotions, then you've got to hit the ballpark, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have Easter weekend. It's a family weekend. That's a great family event. Go out to the game. It'll be beautiful out. And you get a free T-shirt out of it.
Oh, my gosh. It's great.
It's a win-win-win.
If you're one of the first 2,500. I recommend you get out there early. The doors open officially at 6 o'clock, and the first pitch is at 7:05. Now, coming up next week, it starts this weekend. It starts tomorrow night. But next week here in town, the Las Vegas Wranglers will be back in action at the Orleans Arena April 23rd against the hated Alaska Aces. Now, tonight, I should say, at 8:15 p.m., the Wranglers are having an official viewing party down at Scooter's Pub. Scooter's Pub is the official home of the Wranglers on the road. They broadcast all of the playoff games down there. Great place to watch a game. Very, very cool beer specials.
I know you're a Wrangler guy.
Of course I'm a Wrangler guy. The voice of the Wranglers.
How in the hell did they make the playoffs?
Because
it was by default,
San Francisco folded.
Because let's be honest, not necessarily the best season the Wranglers have had in the last couple of years.
The worst season the team has ever had in its 11-year history. I've been with this team for 5 seasons, and we have never seen anything quite like this. But I will tell you, at the end of the season, it started to look like the Wranglers were finally getting some things together. Coach Mike Medill, really battling
he needs to
uphill.
go back on the ice.
Oh, man, there's been times I'm like, we need Mike out there to play. But he's put together a fairly competitive squad here for the end of the season. So we'll be pulling for the Wranglers. Puck drop 8:15 tonight. Get down to Scooter's Pub, Rainbow, in the 2:15. Now, Michael, bringing you into the show here, we got you just for a second talking about NBA basketball. Sure.
Go in another direction. As the voice of the Wranglers, is it tougher to be an announcer for a winning team or a losing team?
A losing team.
Okay.
Absolutely, because when you're winning, and especially me, I like to get really animated. I like to get very excited. You want to, goal scores. A lot of, when you're not scoring a lot of goals, when there's not a lot for the crowd to cheer about, you kind of lose some of the punch to your delivery. You don't quite
you
get
gotta temper it a little bit.
You do.
No goal.
When you're losing 4-1,
yeah,
it's hard to really get excited.
Well, and
you root for the other team.
Yeah, and then find yourself out of a job here in Vegas very quick. No, I mean, listen, definitely the Wranglers, a very, very storied franchise here in Las Vegas, have been to 2 Kelly Cup finals, and our most recent one was only 2 seasons ago. So I think there's a lot of good things, ahead for the team. And as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, moving them downtown to the 5th floor roof of the plaza is going to be fantastic. With all the stuff going on downtown, Michael, it's going to be fantastic. And speaking of stuff going on downtown, as if we didn't have enough great things going on downtown, as if we didn't have enough cool stuff opening downtown, you're here to tell us about your new venture, and I got to say, I'm super excited for you, man. Why don't you share here with our audience?
Well, we at Max Pawn have, accomplished a lot of great things being in the designer luxury business, and what we have found is there's a big demand for a super high-end, or I say, attainable, not a thrift store, but a vintage store.
A vintage store.
So, Las Vegas has had some great vintage stores. The Attic that was there for years, the American Express commercial that was so popular, they had an explosion, actually, that blew down, and they weren't insured properly. So we're missing that element, that vintage store. We have Electric Lemonade that's over on Charleston, and we have a few other vintage stores. But we're going to open Exile on Main Street.
Wow.
And the address is 1007 South Main Street, right next to Cowtown Guitars. And Jesse Amorosa and his wife Roxy are going to be running the store. We're going to be doing a joint effort, combining the 2 stores. We're building a stage in the back. We're going to have a live venue for music for First Fridays and Thirsty Thursdays.
That's right.
And Sassy Saturdays and Sunny Sundays.
I know it's Sunday Fun Day. It's Sunday Fun Day. But you're Michael. When you look at a venture like this, I mean, Jesse Amoroso, who we've had on Pawn Talk Live a couple of different times throughout the year, obviously, is one of the bigger celebrities in the industry, somewhat like yourself. He's been on Pawn Stars, the television show on History Channel, quite often, and joined us a bit. Now, are you guys looking at this as, kind of a new direction for old vintage stuff? I mean, you obviously are such a different kind of a business owner, especially with your pawn stores. Are you looking at putting a whole new spin on what was previously considered a fairly, standard for these kind of vintage stores?
Well, there's been a big demand in Las Vegas. I'm excited to be part of this downtown. This downtown's so exciting. I used to be a downtown guy. I used to own Trader Bill's right on the corner of 3rd and Fremont, and was down there for years, and it was like, being a nickel-dime guy because, we waited for those tourists from the Midwest to come in and spend that $20 or $30, and that's what we lived for years and years. But, we got a whole new vibe downtown. This is going to be something like L.A., an Austin, Texas, cool, cutting edge. There's going to be, vintage, old rock and roll T-shirts. We have a whole section of rock and roll buttons. When they used to release albums, they had buttons. And so we'll have buttons in there. We're going to have clothing, vintage handbags, vintage jewelry, and it's going to have a great twist. And I can tell you, I'm not cool. Roxy and Jesse, they're cool. I go and hang out with them, and I feel like an old fuddy-dud, But I'm going to put the systems in place. We're going to let these cool people run it, but it's going to be some store. You twist a little rock and roll in with vintage. You have a vintage motorcycle jack. We're going to probably have an old Norton motorcycle on the floor.
Wow.
I mean, this is going to be a place where you're going to have very unique items. And, Jesse is on Pawn Stars. Let me talk about how big that is. When he's on an actual show, 8 million eyeballs in the U.S. see it between its first viewing and all the repeat episodes. And 30 million people in the world see it on a world stage.
Wow.
Now, this is crazy numbers. Now, when he wears a T-shirt, a hat, or something, people are calling him off the hook.
Yeah, I bet like 38 million people
now
worldwide.
They got a place to go.
Absolutely.
So you're going to hear more about Exile on Main Street. We're very excited.
Exile on Main Street. We got to get that whole theme song lead in here. The Rolling Stones are not going to go away. Trust me, this is going to keep them open.
We have a great song that we're going to announce that's going to be played there.
Awesome. Well, we're going to step aside, take a look at traffic here. When we come back, more with Chad Forster, Michael Mack, and myself as we transition over into Pawn Talk Live. Keep it locked here to KDWN 720.
Coming Saturday, April 26th, 11 to midnight, the premiere of The Mob Chronicles, Part 1, The Assassination of JFK.
Hey, don't make me tell you this again.
Join us April 26th, 11 p.m. to midnight, right here on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Then Software Trading Group on Sundays at 1 p.m. We're beating the Wall Street fat cats at their own game. Tested and proven over 7 years, this technology was only available to the 1%. Now it's available to the rest of us. For more information, call us at 702-832-1100 or go to AvengeSoftware.com. Again, that's 702-832-1100 or go to AvengeSoftware.com and listen Sundays at 1 p.m. for Avenging the 99% right here on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Hi, this is Michael Mack, owner of a world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas. You ever wondered what those valuables are worth? Had a pawn question but didn't know who to ask? I have the solution for you. Join me and Dave Carney every Friday from 2 to 3 for Pawn Talk Live here on News Radio 720 KDWN.
The Las Vegas Youth Orchestra Spring Concert is being held on Wednesday, April 30th at 6:30 p.m. at the Smith Center for Performing Arts in Reynolds Hall. For ticket information, go online to lvyo.org.
Have questions regarding a mortgage, bankruptcy, short sale, personal injury, or your credit? News Talk 720 KDWN's Legal Hour will help you find the